Hi, this is Steve Palladino from Palladino Power Project, and I'm going to bring you another video on the functionalities of the SuperPower Calculator. Uh, the We're familiar with doing race power planning, and the calculator has that functionality. You simply scroll through the various options, the various functionalities, and you look for this particular option here, generating race power scenarios using pairs of Rigel exponents and running effectiveness. So what I want to do is give you a little twist on that. So usually when we're doing race power planning, we're doing it off of your CP or FTP value, which is a good way of doing it because your FTP or CP might be estimated using a bunch of different data points, and that's good. And or it might be from a CP test, which is pretty good if it's recent. So you get a recent read on your fitness. So that's the typical way we're using our CP or FTP. But you could also use a recent race. If you have a race that you ran in the last 3, 4, 5 weeks, in other words, something that isn't out of your fitness window, or you haven't really changed fitness too much since that particular race, then you can go ahead and use that. Now, let me give you an example here. So we select that option up here, generate race power scenarios, and we're going to fill in the required elements, which are yellow. Optional is up to you, and then we'll look for the green results. In this case, it wants to know stride weight and the FTP and the race. So we're estimating power for a 10,000 meter race in this case. So after you enter those, and this is the routine way with your FTP. The default on FTP, by the way, is 50 seconds. Your FTP or CP. It uses 50 seconds for the time to exhaustion. But if you know your time to exhaustion to be different, then use it. But I generally use 50 minutes, and that works pretty good. So it's a pretty good place to start from. And that's what the calculator defaults to, is 50 minutes, 300 seconds. And that way you don't have to put in your time to exhaustion if you're using that default. All right, so we're putting in the required elements though. What race we're calculating for, CP, your weight. And we're going to come down and click on the Scenarios tab. And if you know the Rigel exponent, great. If you need to bracket it, that's probably a better idea, is to select the Rigel exponent that you think is right, and then one just above it, maybe one below it. And then your running effectiveness, what you estimate your running effectiveness. Now, for this particular runner, we know the runner runs 10Ks, typically around 1.04. The Rigel exponent typically is minus 0.05, sometimes a little less than that. Rarely is it a little bit more than that, or more negative, I should say. So we're going to look at primarily this minus 0.05, 1.04 running effectiveness. So with the FTP that we entered, 232 watts for this runner, it's providing an estimate somewhere around 236 watts. Maybe 235, maybe 237, somewhere in that range, but right around 236. So that's great. We got a really solid CP FTP estimate, and we can just stop right there. However, you may also have a recent race that you want to check how that relates, because they say the best predictor of performance is performance itself. So if you have a race and you know those conditions, then that race is a valid piece of data on which to predict or estimate your future race. So let me give you an example. This runner ran a race that lasted 1 minute and 17 seconds, or 1 minute 17 minutes and 4 seconds. So all I'm doing is I'm putting the race power in where FTP is, and I'm putting the time to exhaustion is what the race time was. So we've got a power duration pair here, and we're going to estimate another power duration pair, which is the predicted or estimated race. So when I come back to scenarios, everything else is the same, and we're going to use these same she ran 229 watts. We use everything the same Rigel exponent, same running effectiveness, and it changes it up just a little bit. Average power, 238, 236, 240. So the race, the prior race, is another way of estimating the future race power for that 10K. What this runner actually ran was 237 watts for their 10K. So there it is. Just another little twist on race power planning. You don't always have to use your CP value. I mean, it's probably a good idea that you start there. If it's a good solid CP FTP estimate, then use it. But if you have another recent race that was a solid race and it's not too old, use that. And further, I'm not going to go into the details here, but further, if the race was run under one set of circumstances, you enter that here into the typical, and you, if you have a prediction of what the future race will be, then you enter those factors in here. So you can actually normalize that particular prior race in your race planning for the future race. So there you have it. There's just a little twist on how to use the SuperPower Calculator for race power planning beyond simply using CP FTP. Thank you for watching. See you next time.